Hey, how's it going? My name is Luke Stokes. I am a STEAM witness. I've been a STEAM witness for a year. I've been in the top 20 consensus for the last 6 months or so. I'm also on the launch team for eosDAC, which is a block producer for the EOS blockchain. And I wanted to talk about delegated proof of stake. It's quite a bit of buzz in the news lately, obviously, because when a company like Block One raises $4 billion, that gets some attention. And when the chain that launches, has technical challenges, has, some new forms of governance that people have never seen before on a blockchain, there's going to be a lot of talk. So I'm sure you've heard quite a bit of drama that's been going on lately. And a big part of it, I think, is just ignorance, basically. People don't understand delegated proof of stake, and they don't understand a lot about what EOS is and what problems it's trying to solve. So I figured I've been working so hard. The last few weeks have been amazing, especially just participating in the launch of EOS, being on those calls with all these block producer candidates, working crazy hours. When you have 100 something, sometimes 200 something people on a Zoom call, video call, translating in multiple languages, you just, I can't even describe how incredible that process has been. It's been one of the most amazing things I've ever been a part of. And I have a deep, incredible respect for the people involved in launching the EOS chain. And it reminds me more about, what this is all about. And I think a lot of people who are deeply involved in it understand this. And a lot of people who just bought a token because they, when Lambo, when Moon, thought it would go up, are just ignorant about. They have no idea what we're doing, what we're building, what EOS is all about, and even what delegated proof of stake is about. So I want to talk a little bit about that. I figured it'd be a good timely time. I come up for air just a little bit and see all this drama on the social media, people freaking out about stuff, and I'm kind of going, didn't you know that's what this is? Where have you been? So to clarify, I'm not a maximalist in any approach or any coin. I bought Bitcoin in January of 2013. I spent $50 and I got 2.5 Bitcoin. I love Bitcoin. I love proof of work blockchain. I think makes a lot of sense. There's, I own dozens of cryptocurrencies. I'm involved in all kinds of great projects. For me, my history with Bitcoin has influenced my passion for DPOS. And when I say that, I remember in May in 2013 when the Bitcoin chain forked. I remember watching as it went this direction and this direction. I remember I was up till 2 something in the morning on IRC watching that happen in real time. I remember hearing about, when people just printed a whole bunch of Bitcoin out of nothing. That happened in the very, very early stages of Bitcoin. I remember the block size debates and how there was some censorship going on bitcointalk.org and Bitcoin Reddit, and how certain personalities have pushed their agendas in different directions related to the block size debate. I've seen how the cryptocurrency that I was promised for the unbanked and that would be borderless and global and nearly free with very short transaction times, I saw that go away. I saw high fees, and I saw you having to wait a day or two even after paying a high fee for your transaction to go through, feeling like you don't have control of your money, feeling like a small group of mining cartels essentially recreating the banking cartels and central banking that I was trying to avoid. And I have hope. SegWit, Lightning Network, who knows what's going to happen? Although I've spent 10 years in the credit card industry with FoxyCart, building shopping cart software. I've dealt with merchant account providers, payment gateways, banks. Some of the structure seems familiar to me, and so that concerns me. There is some centralization in what we consider decentralized systems. There's mining cartels, like I said, that have way too much influence and way too much control. So when I saw STEEM come around, I got really excited because I was like, okay, I've been trying to push for mass adoption of cryptocurrency and it's just not happening. I'm not seeing central banks being overthrown. I'm not seeing nation state governments that use violence and the monopoly on currency creation going away. I'm not seeing this. When I saw STEEM, I saw something that anybody could use. I saw a social media platform where people would use it and not even realize there's cryptocurrency or blockchain underneath it. So I got really excited about it, and I've been on there for coming up on 2 years now. And I saw also the challenges with it. And as a witness, I'm working with a lot of other witnesses to work through this, but essentially there's no ethics on the blockchain, the STEEM blockchain. There's no right and wrong. There's just essentially whatever the code allows you to do, that's what you can do. If you want to self-upvote for all the money, you want to create a bot that takes away from proof of brain and just kind of lets anybody with money put whatever they want on the front page. You know, all these things happen, and people are debating whether it's good or bad for the blockchain, and we don't know because there's no definition for good or bad. Hey, if the code allows it, what's the big deal? And, you know, we may find out wealth extraction over wealth creation and value creation over the long term actually is detrimental to everyone. So it might become a big deal. We may have to move in a direction that does define what is right and what is wrong, what is good, what is bad. And we may have to be more active with downvotes and with, you know, expressing our ethical concerns, expressing our opinions on what's moral action and what's good, what's bad, who's a good actor, who's a bad actor, and why. But it's very challenging. You know, that wasn't built into the DNA of the STEEM blockchain. So I'm also on the eosDAC launch team. I'm part of this community-owned block producer candidate for EOS. I'm really excited to get that experience as well because it's kind of a new evolution of DPOS that does have ethics built in. There is a constitution, and I've written about this, and I know it's not perfect, but it's a step forward to say, look, this is what we're about. These adults are going to work together in voluntary ways, in nonviolent ways, and they're going to build global consensus, and intent is going to matter. And why I think this is important is if we don't think about human intent, if we just think that code is law, we just think the code is going to solve all of our problems, I think we're being a little naive because humans are squishy beings. We are irrational. We are temperamental. We are emotional. We have challenges to overcome. And until we merge completely with technology, until neural lace and some automation AI system extends our humanity to something new, we have to deal with this. When we deal with the real world, this is our reality. And so I'm seeing the value of human beings involved in the consensus process where intent does matter, where it's not just, you know, whatever the code allows, because the code is buggy. The code has problems. Yeah, all code does. I've been a programmer for multiple decades. I've seen this. I know it very deeply. And I also don't want to become the king of the new technocracy. You know, I've been developing for multiple decades. People like me will be able to control things. People like me and hackers and others will be able to move in and harm others if we're not careful. And that's not okay. That's not the intent of increasing well-being on the planet. And so we have to be careful about these things. We can't just trust the early adopters who are the cypherpunks who want to have, you know, beautiful voluntary transparency with the privacy and protection of their own rights and properties. These are some amazing people, but once it grows beyond them, what then? You know, when it grows to millions and billions of people using these technologies, some of them are bad actors, some of them do not have good morals and ethics involved. And so we have to think about this. And so I like EOS because it's trying to say every action on the blockchain has a human readable intention in a Ricardian smart contract. It says, hey, here's what I intend to do. Here's what I am acknowledging to the world, and I'm going to distribute across the planet saying this is my intention. And if somebody is fraudulent, then we can all know it. We can all see it. The evidence is clear, and we can actually protect the victims. You know, I'm a fairly smart guy. I've had a great upbringing. I had a great education. Not everybody can say that. Not everybody has money and resources. You know, I've been labeled an anarchist and a voluntarist, and a lot of my friends in that same community, I asked them, what are we going to do for those who can't take care of themselves? What are we going to do for those who didn't win the genetic lottery, for those who have been living in poverty, for those who are just trying to get by? You know, they're not going to make the most rational decisions all the time. How are we going to protect those who can't protect themselves? How are we going to equip them and enable them to have a process to be made whole if somebody steals their property, and their property being so critically important to their survival? So when I look at this, I think, could this be a step forward? And I think it can. Not only that, I love eosDAC because it's a, you know, community-owned DAC producer. So you got my little thing here, or is it this way? I don't know. This is a new screen for me. But, you know, it's a DAC enabler, a community-owned block producer. I think that's really an exciting thing because everyone who's a member has a voice now. decentralized ownership all the way across the board. And that to me is a beautiful, amazing, wonderful thing. So I'm really excited about being involved in that, because I think that is a potential to deal with the centralization concerns. Some people are concerned that delegated proof of stake and 21 block producers is not enough. They think that, you know, somebody could come in and manipulate enough of them, or just manipulate, you know, a majority or 2/3 plus 1 majority so that they could take the chain in a bad direction. It's definitely a concern. It's definitely a risk. But I've also been studying game theory. I've been studying economics and all these different things. The incentives, motivational psychology involved in these people maintaining their reputation and becoming, you know, trusted in the community as good actors, working on the benefit of all the token holders to support the chain and secure the chain. That motivation is a powerful drive for them to do good things, to actually help create a world that we all want to live in. And so I'm very confident in that, because I've seen it work on Steam to a degree. Again, with the limitations of no ethics on the chain. Now I see a prospect for us to say, this is what's good, this is what's bad, this is what we agree to, this is what we're okay with, this is what's not. And I think that those witnesses, those block producers, are going to be even more empowered to be good actors and more encouraged, because if not, they can get their accounts frozen. There's actually, this is not, this is a system like we've never seen before. And I think a lot of the drama in the social media space lately, a lot of the FUD, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, a lot of the, you know, back and forth concerns are simply because people don't understand. You know, they bought a token thinking it's going to go up in value, and they never actually did the research. They never read the white papers. They never went through the ridiculous amount of posts in the forums for the last year. They didn't go through all the Telegram. They didn't read through all the blog posts to fully understand what's being built here. And so this isn't like any other blockchain. This is a blockchain that allows anyone to build decentralized applications, to take their tokens and stake them for bandwidth and CPU, to buy RAM, to be able to serve millions of users and have the transaction speed at an enterprise level to do that. And know that there's some responsibilities for participating in this community. That if someone's a bad actor, they can have things happen to them. The victims can be made whole if there's a bad actor taking advantage of them. And one thing I want to be clear about is for people to really understand how this works. The block producers, the 21 consensus block producers, they have essentially full control of the chain. If they get together, and we worked on this morning actually. I was involved in a multi-hour call where we updated a system contract because there was a patch, a bug that needed to be fixed. We can make changes to the chain, and even up to and including changing the token contract. I mean, these are things that the blockchain space is freaking out about. They're like, wait, what? You can just change how things work? Oh my gosh, that's terrible. And it could be terrible. It is a systemic risk. It is something we need to take extremely seriously. But I won't say that it's terrible right off the bat. It's a potential for concern, but it also might be the answer we've been waiting for. It might be the thing that gives us global mass adoption of a cryptocurrency platform. And I say that because people who are going to invest millions of dollars in something, people that are going to build their entire applications and their entire businesses on top of a protocol, a platform, they need to be able to trust the protocol. They need to be able to trust the platform. And the history of a lot of these blockchains is unfortunately not very good. There's been numerous hacks. There's been numerous problems. And this is what dominates the news. You go to a Bitcoin obituaries, it's over 300 different Bitcoin is dead posts that the mainstream media has put out there. And yes, inevitably, over time, we will win. And blockchains, global nonviolent consensus will eventually, I think it's inevitable, become the standard. But getting there is going to be a challenge. And the time that we waste getting there is allowing for more dominance by violent central authorities. And I'm not okay with that. I want to see the world improve. And I want to see it improve in my lifetime and in the lifetime of my 3 children and my wife. So I'm willing to take this risk to say, yes, this is a different thing. This is something new. Human beings are involved. But They are held accountable by market forces, by free voluntary interactions of adults coming together to say, here's what you have to do. Here's the job you're given. Here's the roles and responsibilities you have. Here's how we're bringing in arbitration forms. Here's how, as two consenting adults, we can pick our own arbitration agreement prior to interacting on the chain. And then essentially the block producers are going to be able to push things through and help a victim if a victim is created based on the evidence of an arbitration judgment. These are things that we've not done on-chain before. On-chain governance is something I'm really excited about. Again, because I've been in Bitcoin for a while, and I've seen the problems it's had in the past and how difficult it's been to figure things out. I remember in May, I think it was May of 2013, when the Bitcoin blockchain forked, and I was watching in IRC in real time as all that was happening. And I stayed up till like 2:30 in the morning, and I watched exchanges and wallets and service providers all over the planet have to work together to figure things out. And they did eventually, and it was an awesome thing. And I remember going to bed that night just thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to change the world. I can't imagine nation state governments and Visa and MasterCard and all these different competing entities doing something like this. But it was the first time I had seen individual actors and working essentially for their own selfish interests, and seeing that those interests align with the entire network. Seeing that happen in real time was amazing. But at the same time, seeing the mining cartels, for lack of a better term, seeing how they kind of took over and pushed an agenda, they were not incentivized to lower transaction fees, quite the opposite. Seeing users get frustrated, seeing the market share go from 85-something% of Bitcoin down to the low 30s at one point. It was very discouraging. And so I found that I really saw the value of delegated proof of stake and on-chain governance. I started seeing why that's important. And I started seeing it work in STEEM in different ways. I started seeing the blockchain progress. You know, we're into 19 hard forks at this point. These are things that people have done, changes they wanted to see in the protocol and the tools they're using that we were able to do. And that's a really cool thing. So I'm excited about EOS. I think there's a lot of room for education. I think a lot of people are upset or frustrated or fearful because they don't know what they're talking about. They haven't looked into it yet. They just bought a coin, and it's confusing because it's not like all the others. So my hope is we as a community, as an EOS community, and those who've been in DPOS for a while, those who've been on BitShares, those who've been on STEEM, can help people recognize what this is all about. Help people recognize this is a path forward for mass adoption. This is a path forward where individuals can control their own store of value, and they have a mechanism to deal with bad actors, to deal with fraudulent activity. And they don't just have to go back to mommy and daddy government and say, hey, somebody stole my money. Can we spin up the old court system and, get out your guns and threats of violence so I can be made whole? Instead, we can go and say, hey, we've got a closed loop ecosystem. We can deal with this right on chain, and we can freeze an account if we have to. How scary is that? Everyone freaks out. We can even reverse a transaction if we have to. Oh my goodness, everyone freaks out. But if it's done in a way that everyone agrees to, where everyone says, yeah, like the guy who scams somebody, he doesn't get away with it. He actually gets his account frozen, or she, or whoever. Like, isn't that a good thing? Don't we want people to be disincentivized from stealing and harming others? I think that's a beautiful thing. Don't we want victims to be made whole? If somebody does have their account stolen, or they get hacked, and they can provably demonstrate, oh my goodness, this was mine and now it's gone. I think that's an amazing thing. I think it creates incredible opportunities where we can build big applications that will run globally decentralized and have some trust that the users on those applications aren't going to be scammed. So I'm optimistic. I know it's a new territory, and it's scary and exciting and complicated, and who knows what's going to happen. And there will be bugs. We're in the early days. It's a brand new baby at this point. But there could also be amazing opportunity. No one could imagine Netflix or, all the different things that we built on top of the internet, on top of TCP/IP, on top of all these protocols. No one could have possibly imagined this. Once the last mile problem was solved and we had high-speed internet all the way to people's homes, man, the innovation just was incredible. I saw that too. I was watching during that whole process, and I get so excited thinking about what's going to be built on top of these new protocols, these new platforms that are globally distributed. what's going to happen then? We have no idea. We don't know what's going to be built, but I think it's going to be amazing, and I'm really excited about it. And I'm honored and amazed that I get to play a small role, that I can work with these incredible individuals who seriously want to make the world a better place, who are fired up about improving things in their communities. And it's an incredible thing. It's an amazing thing. So my recommendation to those who are freaking out about stuff is just do some more research, understand what this is all about, and give it some time. For those who just want to spread FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, you don't want to crash the price, hey, do your thing. I can't stop you anyway. Those who are just concerned, just chill. Like, come back in a few years, you know? If it's a failure, it's a failure. And you can say, yeah, I didn't invest in that, and I didn't think it was going to work out. That's fine with me. And those who can see what I'm talking about, they can see the vision for this, you know, we'll see what happens, right? Join us. Build some cool stuff on this. Tinker with the code. Figure out if this idea makes sense. Are the individual actors that are part of building consensus, are they motivated to continue doing so and working in the best interest of the system? You know, is 21 block producers more or less decentralized than the proof of work mining farms that we've seen? You know, these are the type of questions we should be asking ourselves. And also, if we don't like things, how valuable is the ability to change things? Like this, to me, as we start coming into what some people call the singularity, when all of human knowledge starts going like this parabolically, we're going to have to be able to adapt and change very quickly. The things that can adapt quickly are not going to survive. So I'm very excited that the block producers and the people that are voted in have the ability to act quickly according to the consensus and the will of the people that they support. And if they make a mistake, and I'm sure they will, I love that the people can say, get out, you're fired. We're going to hire somebody else to be a block producer. So I like that accountability. I like that on-chain governance. I think it's going to create some amazing things. So again, my name is Luke Stokes. I am a STEEM witness, been that way for over a year. I'm a block producer, member of eosDAC, helping enable DACs around the world, and I want to be here for your questions. If you have concerns or you don't know what's going on with all this stuff, let me know. I'm on Steemit as Luke Stokes. I'm on Twitter as Luke Stokes, and I'm here on YouTube as well. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts and concerns, and let's just see what's going to happen. It's going to be an exciting time to be alive. It is the most incredible time to be alive, and the future is going to bring some things we can't even imagine. So I look forward to being on this roller coaster ride with you. Take care.